Beep, 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 beep. Live from Wellston, Georgia, it's the Wartown Times Sheriff Shootout Special 2024. Pew, pew. Hey, everybody, it's your humble author, narrator, and fictional character, Daniel Louis Crumpton, back with a Houston County Sheriff Shootout Special 2024 exclusive. As you guys know, we've been covering the Houston County Sheriff's race for a few months, and we sent emails out to all the candidates who were running for sheriff with a constitutional questionnaire. Now it's down to Arthur Lee Harris and Matt Moulton. And we haven't heard anything from Matt Moulton's campaign, unfortunately. However, Arthur Lee Harris was cool enough to acknowledge our invitation and as well as come here to the bridge of the Starships Enterprise to have a face-to-face interview with me right before November 5th's election to discuss what a Harris Sheriff's Office would look like. So I want to get right into it and share with you what Arthur Lee Harris had to say if elected sheriff for Houston County 2024. So listen to this and then go vote. Arthur Lee Harris, candidate for Houston County Sheriff, thank you for coming in. We really appreciate it. As you know, we've been covering the sheriff's race here for the past 6 months. And we did invite all of our candidates who were running for Houston County Sheriff to come on the Wartown Times. And unfortunately, none of them responded. None of them actually wanted to come on and answer any of our questions except for you. So I want to tip my hat to you, and I really appreciate you having the openness to come and talk to some, guy like me. So thank you for that. And
thank you for inviting me.
No worries. And so you're running for Houston County Sheriff.
Yes, I am.
And as we all know, here in Houston County, we've had the longest sitting sheriff in American history, over 51 years. And now we're getting the opportunity for the first time in my life to make a change in what the Constitution says is the most important elected position in the county. And so what was it for you, first of all, that wanted to make you run for sheriff in Houston County?
Well, I'm from Houston County, born and raised. Been here all my life at the military college. I worked 27 years in law enforcement. I saw Houston County grow from peach trees to pecan trees, cotton fields, peanuts fields. We had a community that was law enforcement officer wanted to serve. I got my training from one of the better police chief I ever worked for in my life, Chief Rate at Monroe Police Department where I started. Chief Billy Hunter. Then Willie Tasman taught me how to serve and be a community person. And I love my community and I want to serve. What really got me into wanting to run for sheriff in Houston County after Sheriff Tasman decided that he was going to retire in September, we had a shooting early this year at the movie theater in Centerville. And 12-year-old shot a 13-year-old, 13 shot a 12, but one of them died. Well, actually, two of them died, because one of them life is going to be in jail for the rest of his life, and we got one dead. We got two families that are hurting, and two families that maybe shouldn't have happened to a 12 and 13-year-old. That night after that happened, it came on TV. It just something inside of me thought that we wasn't serving our community like we should have, like we should be.
Right.
I think anytime kids fighting in an arena, the officer there, the officer put them out, the officer should go outside with them. Now, the officer doesn't do it no shooting. I'm not saying that, but I just think we need to serve, be serving for our community.
Right.
And I just don't see that happening right now. And I want to bring that back to the sheriff department, because I was with Sheriff Townsend when he first started. And that's one thing that he stressed back then, that if you ride in a taxpayer car and a taxpayer wave at you, you wave back. You don't ignore them. You know somebody in the community. You know somebody that can help you in case you need them, and they can trust you. I don't see that working out in our community that is growing every day. And I'm the best person to be sheriff of Houston County, to bring Houston County law enforcement where it need to be, that we serving the people and making the people our priority.
Right. So, and I remember that shooting here in Warner Robins. So that's what sparked you. And you know, that it the crime in our youth we will get to, and how it's appropriately addressed, or how it can be appropriately addressed. But I remember that incident, and so that's what sparked your the fire in you to try to fill this position on how we're interacting with the community with law enforcement. Now, your personal history. I understand you're a veteran.
Yeah, I'm a veteran.
Okay.
I served in the United States Army.
Thank you for your service.
I obtained the rank of Sergeant E5 in 11 months. I was Sergeant E5 in the United States Army. I went to 7th Army NCO Academy. Came out number 2 out of 50 something. So I was automatic promotion. But military service was a time that I really grew up. I was taught discipline. Mm-hmm. And every young man should have the experience to be taught discipline where you had to do it. It wasn't no ifs and buts about it. You had to do it.
Right.
If the sergeant or anybody ranked more higher than you tell you to do something, you do it, unless it's an unlawful order or something like that. But military taught me discipline. Military taught me love and respect.
Mm-hmm. So, and veterans always have a soft spot in my heart because my dad was a veteran of the Korean conflict and Vietnam.
Okay, thank you, Dad.
He was in the Navy for Korea.
Okay.
And then he re-upped in the Air Force for Vietnam. So, you know, and
your dad was a hero.
He was on the USS Iowa. Okay. And he never talked about it.
Okay.
He lied to get in. Okay. He was too young, but they put him on the Gray Ghost, the Big Stick as they call it. Mm-hmm. And the Gray Ghost was the first ship, the flagship of that fleet, to go to Korea when the Korean conflict had the most artillery fired upon it and fired the most artillery. But I never knew that until after my dad crossed over, and then we got his service records. So, I've been a huge advocate for veterans in our community. So I want to thank you for your service.
Thank you.
And something that my father, and I know a lot of military guys have a concern with in our country, specifically since 2001, 9/11, is what would you say is the distinction between the military and its function and peace offices like police departments and sheriff's departments? What's the distinction? And do you see that there's been a blurring of the lines?
Military, the office, the young men and women in the military, they serve our country and protect our country. They are more stricter to not domestic, but they're more concerned about protecting and being able to. They don't come into contact like police officer and deputy sheriff. Mm-hmm. Deputy sheriff and police officer has the responsibility of protecting the community and serving the community. Mm-hmm. The welfare of the community, where military people, we were more like being trained to fight wars and defend the country. Mm-hmm. And police officer and deputy sheriff defend the country. They defend it on the local level, where they're protecting the senior citizens, the children in the community, the merchants in the community. They just are serving to the community, and where the military really not.
Right. So, like I said, what a lot of my audience we have concerns about is, we have something called posse comitatus, which is you can't have the military policing the American people.
Right.
And it seems that across the country since 9/11, that police forces and sheriff's departments have been kind of going around it to militarize their peace officers and give them a mentality of the military and give them military equipment. How do you feel about that? Do you feel that this is...
Well, I think even before 9/11, if you really looked at the history of it, ain't a change, but there's a feeling from the local citizen. So I felt it when I got out of law enforcement. Mm-hmm. Before 9/11, before the Crime Bill Act, was 92 what it was? Mm-hmm. when Bill Clinton signed that Crime Bill Act, we was taught at the police academy, and now that was all over the country, that if you had a suspect, unless your life would have been particular in demand, I mean, you're threatened, that you shoot to disarm. Now I think that the academy, and so I think something need to be looked at. They teach shoot in the chest area, in the head. So with a 9mm get shot in the chest and the head, you can't survive. Right. I remember we had a string of burglaries down in Kathleen, and the guy, the burglar, was running away from us. He probably had pulled 40 or 50 burglaries, and he was running away from us. And one of the deputies, pulled his gun out and shot him in the leg, which was justified. Although our lives wasn't threatened, but the harm that he had did to the community, he didn't deserve to die. Right. But that's how we solved all of my 40 cases back then. Right. Yeah. So when it come down to police officer now, I think a police officer, sure, if they pull a stop, let's say we got a speeder, I see police officer get out of the car with no hat on. We were taught that you wear your hat when you get out of the car. You wear a uniform. You see police officer now in just plain shirt with a symbol on it. Can it be intimidated? Could be, to some people. I think police officers have to show more respect for the people in the community. And everybody in the community is important, regardless of what the situation might be. They're an important person. They're a human being. And that's what I'm on.
And train. You and I both, we were at Fellowship Baptist Church at the town hall meeting recently.
Okay.
And there was I don't use black and white. I use melanated. Okay, it's a more correct term. But Tyrone Brown was a resident of Warner Robins, and he got up and he had a question for city council, which was, what is with the escalation of force over things like a simple citation? And Police Chief Wayne Fisher went and spoke to him afterwards. But, he told the story at the town hall meeting about his wife simply asking a question from a peace officer in the Warner Robins police force, and she ended up getting pulled out of the car and handcuffed over a traffic citation. And his question was, what is going on when our public servants behind a badge interact with us? There's almost an immediate escalation that to us just doesn't seem like it's necessary.
Well, I think that the police officer need to be respected, and the person who the police officer encounter with should be respected. If both parties respect each other, that won't happen over a citation. It should never happen over citation. I don't know. I wasn't there to witness, but I think in a citation, it should be driver's license, insurance card, registration, and you sign the ticket and go. And most police departments, if you don't sign the ticket, they make you post a cash bond or something like that. But it's not. It shouldn't escalate it to a drag out war.
Right.
It should never.
Right. And so another one before we move on to the next part here. Your opponent, Matt Moulton, has been a career law enforcement person. So it seems that that's been his entire career. And you have not been in law enforcement for a period of time. Is that right?
Right.
Now, I'm just going to tell you what I feel.
Okay.
Okay. I feel that is an advantage that you have, especially in this county, coming in from the position of a citizen, a resident that can see it from that point of view to come into this critical office to make a change. I believe that that's not a hindrance. I think that's a benefit for you. Do you think it's a benefit for your candidacy to come in with not being a career law enforcement person?
Well, I think the benefit for me is that I've always been out in the community. I always talk to people. I'm always doing things in the community. I would say that I know the community. I understand people both, if you want to say black or white, I deal with everybody.
Right.
I don't look at white or black. I look at individual how they treat me and how they talk to me. So I talk to everybody. So it don't matter whether or not he's been a career officer. He look at it more in the police perspective. Yes, he does. And I would too. But the point is that I'm part of the community. I've been part of the community. And I'm always showing up everywhere. Little league baseball games, football games, high school game. In fact, I even referee.
Right.
Yeah, so I'm part of the community. I hear what people are saying in the community.
Right.
And that's what I think we have gotten away from as police officers, police departments and sheriff departments. We don't listen. We don't do things for the community. I remember one time I got Cal Daniel, who's a local professional baseball player, ex-professional baseball player. He was playing with the LA Dodgers. I got the bus line out there, Alberta Road, Ferguson bus line, Larry. And we took 50 kids to Atlanta Braves Stadium on Turner Field on a Sunday night to see the LA Dodgers and our Atlanta Braves. And Cal got all members of the Dodger team who didn't have family in the Atlanta area, got their tickets, got me 50, and they got an opportunity to talk to Darryl Strawberry.
Right.
To me, that was very, very important. We showing the kids from who might have never went to Atlanta Braves game as children, to give them something to look forward to.
Right.
And that's why I feel like that I'll be so much better. I think that we need a junior deputy program. I'm going to start a junior deputy program with the Citizens House County Elected. I'm going to get people who are concerned about children to be on that junior deputy program. And we're going to do things with our children. Show them that it's more than having a gun in your pocket or smoking some reapers on the side of the street. Give them opportunity to do something to make their life better. Then the community is better for it.
Right.
Our senior citizens can sleep at night. Don't have to worry about nobody breaking in their house. They can sit on the front porch again like they used to. It's just so much that we need to do. I've been studying a program and it's kind of new in stature. The Bibb County Sheriff Department. Sheriff Davidson has a lot of programs that he has put in effect that is gradually they're showing signs that it might be successful for them up there in Bibb County. They might cut their crime rate down. Our crime rate is going up. Violent crime is high in Houston County, higher than it ever been. And we got to do something. We got to catch the grassroots of it now before we get too far. Before we get too far down the road. And it starts with our youth. We got to get our youth under control. We have officers in all our schools, and these officers are going to have to get more involved if they're not already, but we're going to have some results to show that they are working with our children that need help. And that's just so important. If we don't get our crime under control, we're going to be a high statistic area in the near future.
Right. And it's the proof is in the pudding that you're more of a community guy because you're here, you're talking to me. Because as we've discussed, I invited every of all the Republican candidates to come on. I have emailed your opponent several times. Their social media director did, let me know that they would pass it along, and we haven't heard anything. So, and my audience is the people,
and that's what I'm concerned about, the people.
And we haven't heard anything from any of them, but yet anytime I call you or message you, I know that you're going to pick up. And that goes a long way because you talk about preventing crime, and we'll get more into that here in a minute. But it does, I believe, start with creating an environment with men and women behind a badge of setting an example, rather than imposing threat and duress and the intimidation of being an authority figure. They should be more role models than an authority figure. So thank you for that. Thank you for actually, you're doing, you have an open door policy because you're right here. You know what I mean?
I'm an open door person. You're going to see me out on the streets. If they elect me sheriff, you're going to see me out on the streets.
Right.
I'm going to be in our churches. I'm going to be everywhere.
Right.
Everywhere you expect the sheriff not to be, I'm going to be there.
Right.
And I want the best for our community. I'm not part of the good old boy system. I guess I could have been, but I'm not.
And we'll get to that. Now, the next thing is if you look over here at the screen right here, your opponent, Matt Moulton, he did an interview with 41 NBC. She asked 3 questions, and I kind of wanted you to piggyback off of it. So her first question was, why do you think you're the best person for the job? And Mr. Moulton said, I think I've worked hard my entire career. I started from high school. I went to college. I got a degree in criminal justice, bachelor's degree from College of the Ozarks in Missouri. And then I went back to college after I started my career at the Warner Robins Police Department and got a master's degree in public administration. For the last 28 years, I served as a law enforcement officer, 24 of the 28 years here in Houston County. I know the current trends in law enforcement. I'm up to date on technology. I believe technology is the gateway to the future for law enforcement, and I'm on board with advancing our technology. Now, I want to stop right there and talk about technology. Mr. Harris, I have a very huge concern about the technology is jumping by leaps and bounds.
Yes.
However, you have to assume, if you're a resident, that if you give authority figures a tool, they could be the most well-intentioned person, but you have to be responsible and say, what's the worst they could do with this? And in Houston County and Warner Robins, it seems like the city has turned on to this smart city thing where we have flock cameras everywhere. We have patrol cars with license plate readers. And now coming down, from Atlanta is an initiative to turn everyone's cell phones and ring light cameras, for public safety. It's always for public safety. But invariably what we're seeing is that these new technologies are circumventing the privacy of the people, our 4th and 5th Amendment rights. Mm-hmm. And yes, technology is a wonderful thing. Yes, it can help prevent a lot of crime, but there is a concern from a lot of people that the ramping up of technology is to circumvent our Bill of Rights. And could you speak to that?
Well, technology can be a tool for law enforcement, but technology should never interfere with our individual rights. Having a street with a camera on it, I'm for that. Mm-hmm. The license plate readers, that's important too for law enforcement. If you don't buy a tag, you shouldn't be driving your car. Unless there's a reason. Now, that's the reason sometimes things happen. But as a whole, if you don't have the proper tag and registration, mm-hmm. you should not have a car. Technology, I would have to really, really look into it a little bit more, because I do not want to violate nobody's rights. Mm-hmm. I want everybody to be treated with respect and like they should be. The Constitution is what we live by. That's our book.
Put it to you this way: the way that it plays out, that we're covering a story that will be airing next season. We have an associate up in the Atlanta area, Sabrina Black, and she, in 2017, she got a citation. Okay. And that citation, she paid her fees. She went to defensive driving class, everything that was encouraged by the judge.
Okay.
She was, according to the court order, supposed to bring back, proof that she passed her or took her defensive driving course, and she did. Mm-hmm. However, up in, I think it's Gwinnett, they lost the paperwork. Okay. Mm-hmm. This is 2017. And about 3 months ago, she's driving past a detention facility that had recently put up flock cameras.
Okay.
The flock camera scanned her license plate. Okay. Mm-hmm. Because of a clerical error in 2017, which they didn't administer her paperwork that she filed or did the defensive driving course, a warrant was issued for her. Gwinnett County Sheriff's Department showed up at her door that night And ultimately, she was tased and detained for, I think, 24 to 48 hours on a clerical error. And then, of course, when she gets an attorney, they had misplaced it. So that license plate reader, that flock camera, triggered a series of events where you have an innocent person who was tased and carried to a cage. And that's a horrible scenario.
It is.
And that's a concern for a lot of residents.
Well, I would think that if I'm sheriff of Houston County and this camera get the tag number and say there's a bench warrant for this individual, I would think that my officers, before they go out there, and the bench warrant issued by judge now, that they would look it up and see was there anything that we have on paperwork. If a bench warrant for a tag violation didn't have to be served that night, that's the wrong time. I don't see no reason why they couldn't have called her in.
Right.
I would want my officer to do that on a bench on a tag violation.
Right.
Pick the phone up, call the individual, say, hey, listen, I got a bench warrant that had been issued on your car for you because you did not do what you're supposed to did in 2016 and 17. And if you got any proof or anything different, come down and bring it with you. I wouldn't want my officer to go out to the house again, like I said, at night. And I think in a case like that, it could have, I don't know all the circumstances, but just tag violation, why not pick the phone and call the individual? Right. That's a waste of time, I think.
Yeah, so when you remove human discretion from technology, you got a problem.
Right.
So a Harris sheriff's office would use more discretion.
Yes. We would call her, that lady.
Right.
We would call her, we'd make an effort to call her.
Right.
And tell her that we got this bench warrant and you need to bring some proof to what you did. And then she had the opportunity to go by the school, DUI school, whatever school it was, and bring her proof.
Yeah. Do it like a human being.
Yeah.
Now, on the other question here, let's see, is Monica over there at 41 NBC. Let's see. She asked about crime. Okay. Prayers are with all you guys. Now, I want to start with our questions. First off, what are the main priorities that you plan to address if elected sheriff of Houston County? What will you do? And your opponent said, the first thing is going to be addressing the crime, the violent crime in the youth population. And I think we're going to do that by increasing our manpower, getting our manpower back up to staffing. The county commission approved for additional patrol slots in the last budget year, but with our shortage, we haven't even attained that number yet. So working hard to recruit, get good qualified deputies on board, and then address the crime problem. So Mr. Moulton's answer to addressing the crime problem with the youth is more manpower. So what do you feel about that answer?
That's his answer. I think that what we have to do is not, the manpower is very important, but I think we got to become servant in our community, and people see us. And then we need to stop all the junk about hiring deputies. A deputy sheriff can be hired as long as he don't, and a city police officer, if he doesn't have a criminal record, haven't been convicted of a felony, got a high school education or GED. There's plenty of people on our streets that need a job. Let's hire some of these people. We wouldn't have all these vacancies. We could be seen in the community. To be seen, I think, prevent crime. It's just that we have a tendency at the Houston County Sheriff Department in the last 20 years, who we know how we get a job at the Houston County Sheriff Department.
And it's funny, look, I've heard more times than once, Daniel, it's not what you know, it's who you know in Houston County.
And all citizens in Houston County can be a deputy sheriff if they meet the qualification. It don't matter who you are, as long as you meet the qualification. You should be hired because you need a job, and you're a striving citizen of this community too.
All right. Now, before we get into the issues with what I think why we have a hiring discrepancy and things, but this is a pet peeve of mine, Arthur. Do you know about Houston County crime on Facebook?
No, I don't.
Okay, this is something I want to talk to you about because I know I'd probably never hear an answer from anybody else in the sheriff's department. If you go on social media over here on Facebook, you have not just this here, but there are several other social media sites. And what these sites do, and I can only imagine that this information is getting sold to the Georgia Gazette by the sheriff's department. But what you have is social media with endless mugshots of residents of Houston County who have yet to be convicted of a crime. These are people who were arrested and then they were processed. Mm-hmm. And now they're being posted by the Houston County Crime Facebook page. And we can kind of look. These are mugshots of people who have not had a trial. Mm-hmm. And they're being posted to the public every single day. These are Houston County residents.
That many people have been arrested?
Let's keep going. And you can kind of see that there's a shade discrepancy with all of these people, in my opinion.
Well, if they violate the law, we're going to say they violate the law, but they are not convicted of anything. That's what you're telling me?
These are people who have not been convicted. They've simply been arrested and charged. And this is publicly, not just on social media, but in print newspapers. And this is, I can only imagine, nobody does anything in social media, Arthur, unless there's money involved.
Yes.
And somebody is selling the residents of Houston County's personal information prior to trial, prior to conviction. And of course, if you come in here, this is nothing more than humiliating. If you come in here, Arthur, and I'm surprised that no one else has ever said anything about it. Like, for example, if we just click into one, it'll take us over here to the Georgia Gazette. And these are bookings. These are not people who have been convicted.
Who is the Georgia Gazette? See, I don't even know who that is. That's a newspaper or something?
It's an entity of some sort. Yeah, the Georgia Gazette, I think it is a newspaper. And they put the convict or the charge, the date of the booking. So, of course, there's been no trial yet here. And then what the charges are, right?
Terrorist.
And then ultimately what you have is a public humiliation and shaming because people will come in with and leave comments ridiculing these people, right? Now, this has been something that I'm just been appalled at.
And how long has this been going on?
This has been going on since I've been here since 1994. I started to notice at gas stations, newspapers here in mid 2000s. And of course, on social media, it's been, the last 8 to 10 years that I'm aware of. So I can't imagine that the Houston County Crime or the Georgia Gazette are not getting or paying somebody or some entity to get this information, because this is a violation of your Fourth and your Fifth Amendment rights prior to due process of law.
Well, you haven't been convicted of anything. That's my main concern. I promised the citizens of Houston County that that would be one of the first things that I would look into if you elect me sheriff. January 1, 2025, I will look into that. I don't think, maybe the name could be published, but not a picture like I see here. Mm-hmm. This is my first time seeing this, so
right.
I will find out what's going on. If any money being made, I want to know where it's going to.
Right.
Yeah. I promise the citizens of Houston County elect me sheriff. I'll look into this here.
Because what happens is people get arrested and then they lose their jobs.
Mm-hmm. And then be found innocent, or charge dismissed.
Of course. And of course, social media is not going to report that the charges were dismissed or they were exonerated. Mm-hmm. So it's literally destroying people's lives left and right.
I agree. That's something we were looking into the first day if you elect me.
Good. So, and I'm appalled that nobody else is.
And you be sure you call me and remind me. Don't you forget about this.
Yes, sir. So the next kind of thing I want to talk about is, you've expressed that there was a discrepancies with the hiring process, and you've hit on something that I really want to hit on, which is the good old boy network. And I've heard a few, like I said, I'm from a different place. I came here in 1994. And when I'm out on out in the streets talking to people, the good old boy network, could you, what I've heard it called is things like the Southside Mafia or the Hillbilly Illuminati. But it's this idea that, the gears of government around here for a long time have been in close familial groups and not many avenues for residents like myself to get involved or open. So, what's your experience with this good old boy
Well,
network?
I'm from here, and when I say good old boy, I mean everybody knows somebody. Uh, people take some people advice before they take other person advice. Uh, it's here in Houston County. It's who you know that will get you a lot further than not knowing somebody, and that's what I'm talking about. Good old boy system. I think the intent is good, but the intent is wrong. Uh, you want to hire somebody that you know, and the other person here might be more qualified. That's something that I don't mean eliminate the sheriff department. The term all the relatives work in the sheriff department. We're gonna do something about that. I'm not going in firing nobody now because people got families and they got responsibility. But we're gonna find a way, the right way that we can get rid of some of the family members. There's too many family members at the sheriff department.
Yeah.
Too many family members. And there's too many people out in the community who are not family and they need a job too.
Right.
Everybody in our community is going to be treated fairly by the sheriff department. Fairly and equal.
I'm pretty good friends with Councilman Derek Mack, and I like following his Facebook page, but he put something up the other day that said nepotism is illegal. This is against United States code, and nepotism is, you know what it is. But I thought that was funny because it's like, you're talking about a county with over 17,000 registered voters. And if you have certain judges who are brothers with people over here in the city with high positions, as well as city attorneys, and they're all related, that to me, in a community with 17,000 people, is not good, because it ultimately what it does is, here's the thing. I understand that in our area, we live in the Bible Belt.
Yes.
And I appreciate everyone's First Amendment. However, what I think has been an issue is we also live in a military town.
Yes.
Which is bringing in diverse cultures, beliefs, behaviors that I can tell you as a resident that the diversity in ethnicity, in spirituality, in culture has not been respected in Houston County government. And that's a sad thing. And I could give you endless examples of that. But in a Harris Sheriff's Department, would it be emphasized that, hey, we have Hindus in our community. Now we have Buddhists in our community.
Right.
We have people from all over the world. And what looks normal to, say, a Southern Baptist may be different. But we all have to understand that there's a First Amendment here. Is that something that you would emphasize?
Well, we're going to do that from the get from the very, very get-go. We're going to respect everybody. We're not looking at nobody religious or beliefs or practice, as long as not breaking the law. That's how we're going to look at it.
Gotcha. Yeah. All right. So the deaths in the detention center that you brought up, and you're not the first person that I've heard this from, that there have been a few deaths in the detention center. Could you speak to that? How many you're aware of and what those situations were?
That's a tough question to what happened at the county jail. There's good officers down at the county jail. There's officers who love their job, who do a good job. But you got to do more than a good job. Life is important. If a person come into the county jail complaining, let's say chest pain, and the paperwork hadn't been done, it don't matter, because the person can't leave, so they're under arrest. Whether the paperwork been done or not, that person needs medical attention. Anybody you see at the county jail, anybody coming in, if I'm sheriff, and we got a nurse on duty, and the nurse going to take care, I'm not saying they're not, but the nurse going to take care of that individual need to make sure that that problem don't escalate into death. Because life is important. Mental health. Some people come in jail on mental health. They got mental health problems. The mental health have got to be taken care of. We have got to have people at the jail to deal with our mental health people that need help.
Right.
Because if we don't deal with it coming back in 30 days once they get out.
That's right.
Same thing with alcohol abuse.
Right.
We got to have somebody on staff to can deal with alcoholism to make sure our people have an opportunity to get out back in society and do what they're supposed to do. Mm-hmm. And it just by serving.
And I want to thank you for that. All of my followers know I have post-traumatic stress disorder, complex post-traumatic stress disorder, and I'm a recovered from alcohol abuse syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people don't understand unseen illnesses. Mm-hmm. And and now you even have another diagnosis called legal abuse syndrome.
Yes, I heard of that too.
Which is, and I have that as well, which is a result of people not behind a badge or in the judicial system not understanding that an unseen illness is terminal.
Right.
And if you treat someone who is struggling as a criminal, you're certainly you're not protecting and serving at all. Mm-hmm. And so I want to thank you for that. I also want to ask you this, which was in the questionnaire that I sent all the candidates, which we don't have time to get into all the questions from the questionnaire. Mm-hmm. However, for mental health, in the medical cannabis industry, which has evolved quite a bit.
Right.
It's very regulated. You have lab tested organic medicine, and a lot of people, specifically veterans who struggle with post-traumatic stress disorder, mm-hmm. are exploring the benefits of medical cannabis to alleviate their symptoms. They don't want to go to big pharma to take all these pills that are going to make them zombies. Mm-hmm. They want to explore something natural. And now there's a program called Cannabis Total Wellness that allows all residents in all 50 states to see a board-certified doctor for their ailment mm-hmm. and get a recommendation for medical cannabis. So now we have a lot of, especially here in Houston County, we have a lot of medical cannabis patients who have a lawful right to cultivate, administer, transport, and partake of their medicine. Mm-hmm. And it's their concern that could be ignorance on the side of law enforcement as to that being their right to do. So in your sheriff's office, is that something that you would address with your deputies? Be like, hey, look, we have card-carrying members of medical cannabis collectives around here, and they have rights. We shouldn't default to criminalizing them. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, the first thing I would do on that, I would get the person who have more knowledge than I have about it. Let them come address my deputy to tell them what is going on and what they can look for and what they can expect. Mm-hmm. There's got to be a doctor. So I would get that doctor to come in mm-hmm. and have briefing with my deputy, maybe 2 or 3 times to make sure that we understand what's going on.
Okay. I can make all that happen.
Yes.
You can. I'm good friends with world renowned Dr. Umadana Balan. Mm-hmm. And yeah, we would love to come down there.
Okay.
Actually,
he got a license and all that stuff. She. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's all I would need.
We would love to bring her down there to the sheriff's department to educate the deputies because here's the thing: you have black market cannabis on the streets that is being laced with fentanyl.
That's right.
And this is killing people. However, there are alternatives to lab-tested organic medicine that could save deputies' lives, as well as some of these people we talk about who are in the system for alcohol abuse or addiction. Cannabis has been shown to assist addicts coming off of it. And so that's a program that I would love to come and talk to the sheriff's department about. So thank you for being open to that.
Yeah, I will. We're going to serve.
Yeah.
For 4 years, if you elect me, we're going to serve. We're going to serve our community. We're going to do what it takes to make our community the best community, like I always thought it used to be. I think it might still be.
Yeah.
But we got to have the best.
Right.
Because we even go for the best even for our football team.
Right.
We want the best for our football team. So this is what we want. We want the best. And I don't have no ego. If somebody knows something more than I do, I want to listen to you and learn what you know.
There you go.
That's what I look at.
And that's what we need, Arthur. That's what we need. Now, and then because I know you got a busy schedule and we appreciate it.
Yeah, today's the last day.
I hear you. I want to go over a couple of these because we know right now this is probably the most contentious presidential election ever.
Please don't get me the president.
I don't want to talk about it either because
I don't want to get the president.
Because I understand that the sheriff's office is where the buck stops here. Okay. Mm-hmm. And I'm not disclosing I don't care who people vote for in that regard.
I just vote for Arthur Lee Harris. That's all I'm concerned about.
Nevertheless, after November 5th, no matter which way it goes, we're going to have some contention in this country. And a lot of people are concerned about it. And, you do have one presidential candidate who has said that they would use the military on the American people to quell dissent, which is frightening. This is terrifying. That if I were to go and protest or anything like that, that a particular candidate might impose martial law. These are realities that our country's looking at, and I haven't heard any of your opponents address any of it. So that's why I wanted to ask you some of these questions on the supremacy of the Constitution.
Whatever the Constitution say, that's what I would go by. If the Constitution says that this should be done, this is what we're going to do. I believe in the Constitution. I believe in the law of the land. And that's what I would go by. Regardless, who was the president. It don't matter. Right. The Constitution what matters.
There you go.
Yeah, that's where I look at it.
And you understand that as the sheriff, it is your role to be the defender of the Bill of Rights.
Yes.
Against any outside force.
Right.
Or internal force.
Right.
That our civil rights, if we lose those over legislation that's done by, the Bar Association, which is a union, a trade union, they can't scribble away our fundamental rights, especially, you're a melanated man. Black people in this country have fought so hard for this, to have this, and to think that we live in a world where not only is this going to be compromised for minority communities, which you're not really minority because you're the world majority. You know what I mean? It's so funny that people say that. You're the world majority. To me, it's terrifying that there are people who have a mindset.
Personally, I don't think that we have elected officials that would do away with the Constitution. I just don't feel that way. I feel like that the country is in election season. Mm-hmm. A lot of things are said. A lot of people are not talking. They're just staying quiet. Mm-hmm. But I think the people that we put in office in this country going to defend the Constitution of the United States of America.
I hope so.
That's my belief.
And I hope they read it. I mean, as you see, we have tons right here. I see you do. Like we pass them out everywhere because it's like, you see people swear to defend it, and then you ask them questions about it, and they don't know it.
No.
They don't read it.
And I haven't really read it in the citizenship class we took in 8th grade.
Right.
Georgia had it back in the day. You had to take a citizenship class.
It's a brilliant document. And my philosophy is, the way I look at the Bill of Rights, it was a collection of things. And I tell people all this time, because I'm also a minister. I don't know if I told you that. If you look at the Bill of Rights, what the framers kind of were trying to do, in my opinion, is they looked at the trial of Christ. And they said, well, this is clearly an innocent man, and he was executed by the church and the state. And so what did he do? Well, he remained silent. So we have our Fifth Amendment, and that was pulled from his trial. He was at a kangaroo court, which is why we have a right to a trial by a jury, right?
And a grand jury.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He was not secure in his person's papers and effects, right? And so our framers gave us this. And I just find it weird that, to me, the Bill of Rights is the answer to the crucifixion of Christ. But we have a lot of people who, especially in local churches around here, who don't read the document and they don't see it that way. But to me, it's not just a legal document or a political document. It's a spiritual document that, as the founders say, it's better to let 100 guilty men go than to jail one innocent man. That's just my philosophy.
Yeah, I like that philosophy too. I think if you put a man in jail and take his rights from him, he should be guilty.
All I really wanted to know is, Arthur, if you get some unlawful order that contradicts this, do you have the backbone to back that?
Oh yes. Okay. Yes. I'm a constitutional man. That's our guideline. That's just like the Bible. Mm-hmm. If it don't say it in the Bible, I don't believe it.
Right.
So this is the same with the Constitution.
Right.
We will follow the Constitution regardless of who it affects.
Mm-hmm.
Don't matter whether don't matter. We're gonna follow the Constitution and we're gonna uphold the laws of the state of Georgia, regardless of what. And we're gonna serve it, and I'm gonna support my officers when they're right. When they're wrong, be the first somebody to tell them they're wrong.
Right.
And we're gonna do things in the right manner. If they're so wrong, I'm gonna pick a group of citizens in the community to listen to what we're charging them with, and let them make their recommendation. But I will have the final recommendation.
That sounds awesome. So, Arthur, that's all I really got. So is there anything else that you want to say to the people? Because we got just a few hours before everybody gets to the polls, and it's going to come down to it. So
I just want to tell everybody out here in Houston County is that I've been part of the community. I work with recreation department. I coach probably your kids. I coached semi-pro baseball, Warner Robin Jets. We went to Wichita, Kansas for 10 years with the support of this community. I have taken many kids home for baseball practice, football practice, basketball practice, and I want to serve. I want to serve. This is for real. I'm for real about serving and making our community better again. And it's safe now, but we're going to make it safer. And grandmom and granddaddy, you're going to be able to sit on the front porch. We're going to start a neighborhood watch program. And just go to the internet and look and see how many programs do the Houston County Sheriff Department have for the service of what they're doing, serving our community. Mm-hmm. We're going to do more, and it's important. Thanksgiving is important. We're going to do more in this service, Thanksgiving dinner or Christmas dinner. Mm-hmm. We're going to do more. We're going to work 12 months out of the year for our community to make our community better. And I'm going to get the ministers involved in Houston County. There's so much going on that we need to get them involved. All the available grants, we're going to do it for tutoring. We're going to try to find them for tutoring. We're just going to make our county better. We're going to make it so that 20 years from now, a kid can't say, I didn't have an opportunity to do that or do this. Right. Whatever their vision, their dream are, I want to help them to make it. And we're going to try to, the old saying, you can't reach everybody. We're going to try to reach everybody in Houston County to make them better so the community can be better.
All right. And is there anything anybody can help your campaign do in the short hours we got left?
Go vote. Go vote for Arthur Lee Harris. Call your buddy. Call your cousin. Yeah. Call your aunt. Hey, go vote for Arthur Lee Harris.
Well, I'm going to tell you, after 51 years of having the same sheriff in the same direction, and us here in Houston County finally having an opportunity to make a difference, make a change, and go in a different direction, I was excited to already vote for you. So nobody knows that, but I already voted for you. So
thank you, sir.
Arthur, thank you so much for coming on here.
And Dan, let me tell you now, when Sheriff Townsend took over as sheriff in 72, 73, whatever it was, we had a lot of problems here. Mm-hmm. And he got rid of most of the problems, the real serious problems. This was a moonshine county. Mm-hmm. And he got rid of a lot of it. He did a lot of great work, Mm-hmm. And everything that he had, that the commissioners and the county have given him, he deserved it. Mm-hmm. He really did. And he was I looked up to him. Mm-hmm. I really did. Mm-hmm. And he taught me a lot too.
Right.
And a lot of the things that I'm saying that I want to implement is things that he started out doing. And I want to get it done in a much better way. I want to show him that he's still living through other people, and his ideas are still living too.
Right.
So
I never had a chance to meet him.
You did?
No, I never had a chance to meet him. But no doubt that he's left quite a legacy. He can't be sheriff for 51 years.
He did.
But in my generation, Generation X, what we're looking at is we see that the way the world's kind of going mm-hmm. in a more militarized George Orwell type thing. It's just, I would rather slow that down and bring it back to community.
I'm with that too.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So thank you so much, Arthur. We're going to get this out as quick as possible. Godspeed. And we'll see what happens on November 5th, man.
Whatever happens, Godspeed.
So there you have it, a very candid interview with candidate for sheriff, Arthur Lee Harris. And I want to, once again impress upon all of you here in Wartown, the fictional city of Wartown in Houston County, please go vote. For all of you who haven't early voted, November 5th is extremely important. Please get the president out of your mind. What's really going to make a difference here in our community is who you select as sheriff, as well as the Superior Court clerk. That's a very important one. The Solicitor General. Your local races are really where you're going to make a difference here. So if you haven't voted, please go and vote on November 5th. I believe that we've given you a lot of information about candidate Arthur Lee Harris, more than any other news outlet that I have seen. And so you guys can go into that booth and with more knowledge about who each person is, either Matt Moulton or Arthur Lee Harris, you can confidently cast your ballot for who you feel aligns with your moral compass and who is more determined to uphold and defend the Constitution in the face of enemies, both foreign and domestic. So thank you guys for joining us. Please spread this as fast as you can because time is short. And once again, everybody, go vote. I love you guys. No matter where the chips fall, please be civil to one another, be kind to one another, and let's stay a community and listen to the words of our Lord and Savior and love our neighbors as ourselves. Until I see you on the other side of this whole thing, stay well. Peace. Zen in the car for the spiritually minded liberty activist on the go. Liketh, shareth, subscribeth. It's what the cool kids do.